Hi guys, it's Jody. Today's video is going to be all about how I mix up the new pouring medium that I've been using. You've seen in my videos the Behr and the Glidden mix. I just wanted to show how exactly I mix it, go about mixing it up. It is, if you remember, the Behr, the 8300 deep base. I mixed 2 parts of this with 1 part of the Glidden Premium Semi-Gloss Base 3, and then I'll add 1 part of the Jo Sonja in there, and that's the mix that I'm going to be creating or mixing up today. I do have future tests with other varnishes, but that's for another video. But when I say 2 parts and then 1 part and then 1 part, you can make the quantity as big or as small as you want. Today I'm just going to be filling up my 6-ounce container because I don't need that much, but you can measure out the parts in milliliters, in ounces, in cups, in tablespoons, in teaspoons, whatever container you're going to be putting it in, however small or large quantity that you want to mix it up. So I'm going to bring you down and we're going to get started. All right, I'm back, and I have just a tiny amount left in there, which is fine. The first thing, and I'm going to be using my tablespoons for this. First thing I'm going to put in is the Behr, and if you'll remember, it is quite thick. Let me show you the consistency. It's kind of like, it's almost gel-like, like tapioca pudding, and it can be used alone. You're just going to need to thin it down a bit further. I've used it alone, but I really am enjoying it being mixed with the Glidden, and the Glidden does help further thin it down. So I'm going to take 3 tablespoons of these and put it in here. Actually, take that. All right, that's 1. And no, I mean, if you're using cups, if you're using ounces, you'll just do the same process, just in a bigger quantity. And that's 2, actually, I'm wrong. So since this is 2 parts, I'm going to do 6 tablespoons of this, not 3. It's still early, my math. 3, 4, 5, and then 6. Alright, so that is the Behr portion of this pouring medium, and I have I've heard that they may have changed the label on this to, there's I don't know if it's 2-8300, but I believe that's the same thing. My Home Depot is still selling this one where it just says 8300, but if there's another number in front of it, it should be the exact same thing, so keep that in mind. All right, now this is the Glidden Premium Semi-Gloss Base 3. Since I have it in a gallon size, I like to put them in these little quart containers I find at the Dollar Tree. So since I put 6 tablespoons of the Behr, I'm going to put 3 tablespoons of this in here. All right. I'll just scoop it out. See, this is a lot thinner, if you can see the consistency, than the Behr, which helps to thin it down. All right. And there's 1. And if you accidentally put more in, I don't think it'll matter. I mean, it's the consistency you're looking for. Recipes are always just a guide. well, except for in baking. But these paint recipes, they're all just a guide to get you to the right consistency, or the consistency you want for your paints. So if you forget how many you've put in there, it's okay. All right, this is number 2. And then we'll put one more in. And that's number 3. And these measuring spoons, I love these. I have probably about 5 or 6 sets. You can get them at the Dollar Tree for $1 a piece, so that way I don't have to use one set, clean it, and then have to, you know, measure out again. I just have like 5 or 6, so I can quickly do this. So, all right, and now we're going to add the Jo Sonja gloss varnish. We'll put 3 tablespoons of that in here. 1, 2, and then 3. All right, now mix this up and I'll show you the consistency. All right, I need a bigger I need a bigger stick. There we go. That's easier. And that's okay if the little amount you have left in your container, if you're reusing your container, it'll mix in. No worries with that. Once I'm done mixing this up, I'm gonna mix up a couple of I think I'm gonna mix up a tube paint, a fluid paint, and then a pigment, just so you can see how it mixes up, and if anything's thicker or thinner, how you can get them all to the same consistency. This is pretty good. So if you can see, with all those ingredients incorporated, it definitely thins down your pouring medium to a nice consistency. So that is the Behr Glidden pouring medium that I have been using lately. And I will be right back to mix up some paints. All right, now I'm back to mix up some colors. I don't measure. Even when you measure, depending on the consistency of the pouring medium you're using, if it's my recipe, the paint you're using, the environment you're in, again, a recipe is a basic guideline. You may need to adjust either thicker or thinner, and if depending on how these colors turn out, we may have to do that as well. So for today's purposes, I am going to be doing a tube paint. We've got Atelier Interactive Red Black. And then we're going to be doing a fluid, golden fluid acrylic, the Interference Gold. And then we're going to do a pigment, the Color Art Primary Elements Snapdragon. I've never mixed up this color before, so I'm very excited to see what it looks like. So we'll start with the tube paint. What I like to do with anything is put a little on the bottom so that the color doesn't stick to the bottom. You put your paint in first or whatever else. I feel like you lose some of the paint in there. It's to me, it's just easier to mix up. But these you've probably seen me use these before. These are 3-ounce lidded containers that I get on Amazon. The link is down below. You get the price fluctuates on Amazon. but it's a package of 50. I usually wait till they're around $15, but sometimes they're up to $18, but still that's a pretty good price for these. And they're reusable. I just let them dry out when there's just a little bit of paint left and you can't really get it out. I just let them air dry, and then a couple days later you can peel it right out, and any residual I'll just soak in a bucket where I put a lot of these in and just kind of rub it out and dispose of the paint chips, you know, responsibly. So alrighty, put a little bit of this in the bottom. And I've never mixed this up. I don't know how thick it is, so we're just going to put a squirt in there. Ooh, it looks kind of thick. I'm going to put about that much in. And then I'm going to cover that up with the rest of the paint. I'll probably mix up about 2 ounces total. So I'll add more in. And then mix that up. And we'll see where it goes. And I know some pouring mediums tend to fade the color a little bit, even no matter how much paint you put in there. And that's true with the Glidden Premium that I use. I've also found after I've mixed it up and I've let it sit for a day or two, it actually starts to darken. So don't fret about that. And also when you're using the colors and then they dry, they do dry true to color. And another thing I've also noticed is when you're using any of these recipes where you're mixing together the varnish and the paint base, your paints, you know, when you have it mixed like this, say, okay, I'm done, and I'm gonna let it sit, and it's sitting for 2 days. You come back and you've got this clear liquid floating on the top. That's just separation. It's normal and it's going to happen. It happens with any paint base. You even see it in paint cans. When you open it up, sometimes it's separated. It's natural. Just give it a good stir, trying to minimize bubbles, but it'll be just fine. So this is mixed up pretty good. I like to try to swipe the edges to get the pouring medium. It's a little thick, but that's okay for right now. I'm going to mix up the other colors, and then I'm going to see what consistency I have to work with. And if we need to thin this down, I'll probably add in some GAC 800, so we'll see. So for now, I'm going to let this sit, and we're going to move on to the interference gold. Again, I'm going to put, actually, yeah, I'm going to put a little bit in there. I don't know how much I have left in this one. May not be much at all. You don't need a lot of the fluid, especially golden, because they are so highly pigmented. And I think the same can be said. They have their high flow line, which is comparable to acrylic inks. You don't need a lot. They're very highly pigmented. So they might, you know, they might seem expensive, but again, you're not using a lot. So I think it balances out in the end. But at any rate, okay. Put a little bit more in. Okay. And then I'll add some more. Pouring medium. I'll mix this one up to see where we're at. If I want to add just a little bit more or not. Now, already this is probably going to be thinner than the tube paint we mixed up, and that's okay. Yep, it's definitely thinner. I have a feeling the fluid and the pigments are probably going to be on par, and we'll have to thin down the tube paint, which is fine. I mean, even if you don't get it exact, but as close as possible, that's fine too. So here's the, I think that actually looks pretty good. I don't need to add any more in there. It's kind of hard to see. but it has a nice gold cast to it. And I always like to let my, every time I mix my paints and a new pouring medium for that matter, I like to let the pouring medium sit for at least 24 hours just to kind of incorporate and rest and get bubbles out. Obviously I'm not doing that for this video, but that's for demonstration purposes. Same thing for when I mix up paints. Even if you can't let them sit for 24 hours, that's okay. At least let them sit for, you know, a few hours and your bubbles will disappear. So there's that one. And now we'll do the pigment, which is a little bit different. I know there's a lot of different ways to disperse pigments. I usually just put a little bit of my pouring medium in the bottom of the cup and then put a little bit the pigment I want to use and stir it up, and then I'll add the rest of my pouring medium and see where it is, if I need to add any more powder to brighten the color a little, but put just a touch more. You can use, what do I have here? Glidden also has a retarder, or you can use Liquitex, you know, a pouring, like a basic pouring medium, Liquitex, Glidden, or even water to disperse your pigments before you put it into the pouring medium. I know others that do that. I haven't tried that method yet, so I can't really tell you definitively if it works for me, but it works for other people. So that is another option. Ooh, that's really beautiful. Look at that purple. Now with these color art pigments, I do know, well, with a lot of pigments, what you see here, it may not be what it looks like mixed up. It may look totally different. I have a red that I use. It looks orange in here, but when you mix it up, it's this gorgeous deep red. So keep that in mind as well. All right, I'm gonna take probably about that much, put it in there, and then we'll mix this up. Ooh, look at that. Wow. Wow, that is gorgeous. Holy cow. I don't know if the camera is registering what I'm seeing, but it is beautiful. I'm gonna make sure you get any crevices, just so you can get the pouring medium and the pigment completely mixed together. Wow, that is just something. You see that? Whew. That is just gorgeous. All right, I'm going to add a little bit more. If you add too much, it'll probably pale it a little bit, and then you have to add a little bit more pigment, and I mean, that's okay too. All right. No, I don't think that's paled it. Ooh. Can't get over the color. It's gorgeous. That's a nice consistency. So yeah, that looks like pretty much the same consistency as the golden fluid I just mixed up. Oops. Let's put that cap on. So yeah, that, I don't know if it's going to register. If you can see the powder, it looks like a violet, and this just looks like a deep, nice purple with really, I mean, it's just, whew, okay. All right, now we've got our paints here. This one, check our consistencies now. And this is the golden. They look pretty much even, I'm gonna say. Oh great, I get to do this left-handed. I'm right-handed. All right, I can't do it that way, sorry. Yeah. Yep, okie doke. Those two are good, so that's the consistency we want, and we need to add a little bit of GAC. GAC 800, or if you don't have GAC 800, let's see, what else do I have here? An acrylic extender. I've got the Vivid Art Fluid. I've used that. You can even add a little bit more varnish, the Josonia, or whatever varnish you're using. You could add a little bit more into this. High Flow Medium is another acrylic extender by Glidden. There's a number of different things that you can put in to thin down your paint. I was experimenting with this particular pouring medium, the Glidden Behr Glidden, with putting some GAC 800 in it, just to make sure, so I don't misspeak. Somebody out there puts it in now, that didn't work. I just want to make sure everything that I'm telling you, I know to work pretty well. This color seems to be very similar to the black umber, the Josonia black umber you see me using a lot. All right, getting there, almost there. I'm just going to put one more little squirt in there. I think we'll be okay. Yep, we're there. Yay, I love when that happens. So now we can use all of our paints at pretty much the same consistency. And I usually don't find as my paints as my paints sit for a while, they don't tend to thicken up, but if they do, you can add, you know, a little bit more GAC just to thin them out. Or you can, if they all are thicker at the same consistency, you can use them a little bit thicker too, that's fine too. You just want them as close to the same consistency as possible so they all move. All right. Well, you've made it through all of that. I really hope that this was helpful so you can see how I mix up the Behr Glidden Pouring Medium, the new one that I've been using, and also how I mix up paints. This, how I just showed you how I mix up my paints, that's how I do it for any pouring medium. So if you're not using the Behr Glidden, or if you're just using the Glidden, or if you're just using the Behr, or if you're using another pouring medium, you would apply the same principles. So I really hope you found this video helpful. Please like, share, and subscribe. And if you have any questions whatsoever, please leave them down below in the comments. And I will see you next time. Thanks so much for watching. Bye, guys.